Welcome back to the farm, everyone. O'Malley says hi, or he's possibly annoyed with his stepbrother. I was a good husband this weekend. Got the garden boxes drug out to the yard and filled full of dirt. Now I've created a whole nother project, which is probably reseeding the yard where I rutted it up, unfortunately. I may have told a white lie in the previous video that the next video, which is this video, we'd be planting. Ground has not dried as quickly as I'd liked, although we are super close. Quick checkup on those late planted March soybeans. Been in the ground for a hair over 2 weeks right now. Great growing conditions so far, other than a total of, I don't know, 4 inches of rain. There's a few right there. Usually I rip them apart when I pull them out of the ground. I'd say 2 inches of root on there, healthy looking stem, no visible water damage. A little bit of screwdriver damage down there. These ought to pop out by the end of the day, if not tomorrow. Knowing what we know now, given that hindsight is 2020, I probably would have planted a lot more than just 300 acres. It's our first time planting March beans like this, and the way the cards fell, probably should have planted some more because these are going to be up second week of April. It's the 15th right now. And everything else, which is a large majority of our acreage, is still sitting in the bag or sitting in the bulk tank up at the Pioneer dealers, not growing. Soybeans are all about maximizing growing season, vegetative growth, and this first 300 acres has a tremendous advantage, especially because we didn't get any kind of crazy early frost. Souvenir of the day, just a random piece of metal. There's the ever so important forecast. Just an absolutely gorgeous weekend here in Central Illinois. Worked out in the yard, 80 degrees outside, sun shining. Got some warmth headed into the beginning of this week. What you're not seeing in here, and I don't know why it shows up, is that there is a very slight chance Tuesday night of a storm. They're calling for a minimal chance of 3/10 of an inch, 4/10 of an inch maybe, which with this forecast wouldn't be the worst thing to happen. At the same time, if it doesn't rain, I mean, we're gonna get a wide window right here to run. Wish the lows were a little higher than that for planting corn, but given it's mid-April, if we get good ground conditions, we're gonna run as hard as we can. It's just a shade too wet right now for workability, plantability. I think with today's highs, maybe by tomorrow it'll be close. Although we only get one shot to plant, we don't want to plant in the mud. It's not May yet, so we're not really in a hurry. We may gamble, see what tomorrow brings, and if there's a rain, we don't plant, and if ground's fit, we'll run. The urgent item on the agenda this morning is doing some tile repair work about a half-mile west of home on one of our farms that traditionally plants pretty early, so getting this fixed is high on the priority list. These farms have dried a ton in the last couple of days. It's amazing what Mother Nature can do to the soil when it's 80 degrees outside and sun shining. This almost looks like it farmed. I'll give you a very brief synopsis on what I think happened here. There's an old shallow clay line running through here that had less than 20 inches of cover right through there, which is not very much. I had Dad dig it up while I was planting those beans a couple weeks ago, told him to patch it because it wasn't very deep. And he thought, based on the way the uphill side looked, the line pretty much could just be deleted, plugged off, not an issue. Then it rained another couple inches after he did that, and all this water started bubbling up in the field right here. Ultimately, I determined that his decision to plug this line was not the right one. Over there is like a 5 or 6 inch clay, and then when we dug it up over here, it's an 8-inch clay, so we don't know if there's another main or lateral that ties into this. We're gonna go ahead and just dig this out, at least from here to there, see what we're working with, and then replace the whole stretch. This is kind of just a patchwork job. Eventually this line's just gonna need to be replaced. It can either be tied into a newer main through the middle, or we need to rerun the entire outlet to get the depth better. I patched the same hole last year. It's just so shallow that it's compromised. Just one of those things about the depth they're put in at. It makes it very challenging to work with them, especially if you want to run deep tillage or what have you. I actually stayed away from this area with the deep ripper last fall because I knew this line was here. It was shallow enough that if there was enough cover removed, even the anhydrous bar could have hit it. So anything's possible. We're gonna start digging. As much water as that's running as shallow as it is, well, if we if we double wall it, grade's not going to be hard to get. But if we single wall it, we'll probably end up with a bunch of ups and downs in there.
Okay, let's get double wall 6.
That's moving a lot of water.
Well, it's been
Why
blocked.
was there just like a couple foot piece of small clay in there? You think it was an old patch?
I think there's 2 patches. It's 45 foot, give or take a little. So get 5 pieces of 6-inch dual wall.
You sure you don't want to go 8 and butt them up? I mean, it's moving a lot of water.
That 6 smooth wall handles as much as that clay is.
Think so?
Yeah.
The best thing I could find at Dean Drainage were 20-foot sticks of dual wall 6-inch. There's no way this is street legal because at least 13 foot are hanging off the back of the truck, holding on for dear life with the ratchet straps. Oh well, gotta do what you gotta do, right? Pick them up if they fall out. Got about 60 foot of pipe. Time to start clearing grade out on the bottom of this trench. I got it somewhat close with the backhoe, but definitely not pristine. What's crazy about this old clay tiles, it's only got 16 or 17 inches of cover, which is not very much. That's why this is more of a patch job than a long-term solution. Probably gonna have to circumvent this line or do something else. Some of these old clays, they don't put them very deep, unfortunately. Would you just appreciate that? We're like cats. You can't even hardly tell we were ever here. That was sarcasm, by the way. You're definitely gonna know we were here, especially because this is so low. Even with the dual wall 6-inch tile, I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't blow back open when we run over. We'll have to be a little careful with traffic through here so we don't crush that line immediately. Like I said, we really need to hook the main back up somewhere uphill, up grade, because right here, not looking so hot with how shallow it is. Drainage work is done for the day unless we find a new issue. I wouldn't rule that out. I'm gonna drive around and scout a few fields here midday, see how they're drying. We've got a pretty productive 80 here southwest of Mattoon. You can see the faintest hints of moisture on top. Usually that's a pretty good sign that if there's moisture on top, there's mud underneath. So not looking good, but I may hop out and check just for fun. The walk out here was fairly promising, and then you get to a spot like this and the answer's pretty straightforward. Too wet. It is drying. I mean, I don't know if it'll go tomorrow. You can visibly see the water in there. This kind of dirt, not forgiving to tillage. You plant this too early, especially if you have a dry summer, and you will regret it. Of course, I did pick a wetter area because if your wettest areas are too wet, then you know the whole field's too wet. You get a little higher, and that's probably not too far off from wanting to run. Can't compromise the rest of the field though, because this is not the only spot that probably holds moisture like this. I stopped up north to see how Overton's were getting along cutting this waterway. I think they're pretty close to done. You got to keep in mind that they have the same restrictions, or almost the same restrictions, about ground conditions as we do. A bulldozer can run a little bit in the mud and it's not that big of a deal, but if it's a swamp out here, they can't go. And ironically, spots where the waterway is supposed to go are wet spots, so inherently sometimes they can't go as early as they'd like. He's running over here on the north end of the field. That is the downgrade outlet end of the waterway, cleaning it up right now. And there is the south end of the field. I believe there's going to be a rock check right there on the property line on our side to help slow the water down a little bit. That dozer looks like it'd be fun to run. In a different world, I could see myself working in the excavation business. I do enjoy running the backhoe, and it's about the least convenient thing to excavate with. Seeing as the ground's too wet to do any kind of field work, and Chris and Jeff are back home waxing some of the planting fleet, we will stay out of the way up here to the north. We'll watch Griffin run this dozer for just a little bit. This waterway has been decades overdue. On the western third of this field, we've had a wash coming from south to north that's been so bad in spots that it almost wasn't farmable. A waterway is essentially an erosion prevention tool. It is a grass strip cut to grade, basically a shallow ditch, to allow water to flow in the event of big rainfalls. You don't farm this spot, it's just gonna be grass. We'll mow it once or twice a year. And when it does rain a lot, we won't have to deal with erosion from the water cutting down grade rapidly, especially on big rains. This waterway will be nice because we won't have these unbelievable washes through the middle of the field, precisely actually to the south over there a little bit. Yes, we're going to lose a little bit of tillable acreage. The question you need to ask yourself, though, is how good or useful are those acres if you can't even cross them half the time because they're so eroded? And that's what the point of this waterway is. Just need a little bit of assistance from a big old bulldozer. He goes through and makes like a relatively rough cut crossways to grade using that Trimble laser system or RTK system he has hooked up. And then once he does all those, he may come back with the line parallel to the waterway and recut everything. I don't know anything about bulldozers, but that thing looks pretty sweet. What we'll have to do once this is finished up, which is not looking like it's that far away on the calendar, is come in here, till this up lightly. I don't know if we can use a field cultivator or something else, and seed it with grass. You want to get the grass growing because it kind of anchors that loose topsoil down. That way when we do get a big rain, not if, when, because we always get big rains, everything stays in place. We don't have to have the bulldozer come back out. I wish I'd taken some kind of before pictures because they did a lot of moving right here. There's a lot of soil they displaced. They cut the bottom out and then push all the excess dirt up onto the banks, and that builds your waterway. They're about as bad as us at parking stuff in the way. Exactly where you don't want to leave your bulldozer, right where the other bulldozer needs to go. Just needs a little refinement and it'll about be done. Yeah, I'd say that's enough goofing off. I'll get out of their hair so the professionals can get their work done. Lucky, I'm glad Chris and Jeff are actually working because we're not accomplishing much right now other than scouting fields. The neighbors are headed south with a spectacular planting rig, new fit Vario tractor, probably 400 plus horsepower, and a new or lightly used John Deere Exacta-Merge planter. I don't know if they're going to plant or what they're doing. Possibly setting the planter and the tractor together, because I just watched that tractor go down the road on a lowboy a couple days ago, and maybe there's some coordination that has to be done between the Deere planter and the fit tractor. I bet that's one heck of a rig though, once they get the kinks worked out. No, I'm not just spying on the neighbors. I came over to this field, which is one of our fastest drying farms, just to kind of evaluate where the ground conditions are. It's been worked, it looks dry on top. It's probably not that far away from being able to plant some corn on tomorrow. Lucky, what do you think? Would you run a fit tractor with a John Deere planter? Oh, his tongue's out. I think that's approval. thin row. We have some drainage issues here. Overall, though, I'd say this field is not very far out from being able to plant. Wow, doesn't look too bad. Maybe try working it tomorrow morning, getting a field planted ahead of this rain. Corn at least. All right, Lucky, get back in the gator. Come on, let's go. Get back, go. Yeah, let's go for a ride, come on. That actually looks sick. And the ground looks pretty dry too. Only takes one person to get a planter to the field to get other people excited. Although I'm willing to bet that they're just getting that set. Or not, maybe they're planting it, I don't know. Lucky, I think that might be an issue to getting to the back side of our farm. Usually culverts need dirt on top of them to be crossable. Although I've seen people try to jump wider gaps than that. Technically, this isn't even our culverts, it's actually our neighbors, the Welches, and they come down our lane and then cross on us to their field on a culvert here. I talked to Vince, he's one of the two brothers in charge over there. They've got that beautiful new planter set up, and warned him that he may need to drink a little bit before he comes and looks at his culvert, because that's going to be a hard fix before planting season. Lenny and I helped Jeff finish waxing the big four-wheel drive tractors. Gonna top them both off with fuel and then pull them in for the night. See what tomorrow brings. It may take a good hour to get all the settings readjusted that Lenny's changing right now. Keep it in park, man. We left the bigger tractor out because I think we'll probably hook up to it tomorrow and try some field cultivating. Jeff said we'll just go ahead and put the other four-wheel drive in. I'll probably leave the sprayer out and then maybe drag the planter in case it rains overnight. There's a very small chance. Try to keep that thing dry if we can. Lenny, should we go check and see if our soybeans are out of the ground yet?
I gotta get the shovel.
Oh, you need the shovel to do it? Okay. But if we get the shovel, can we do it?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Wait, have 9 spikes on it?
9 spikes.
No, 3 spikes.
3 spikes.
No, 9 spikes.
Oh, not 3 spikes, 9 spikes. That's a pretty serious claw shovel.
Oh, I'm like a 1-9 claw double.
Yeah. See traces of where little ones are trying to push through. You see this? See this little door opening on top?
Yeah.
Use your fingers, pull that back. Pull that back with your fingers. Nope, not the shovel. Use your fingers.
Oh no.
You can do it. Use your fingers right here. Pull it back. Look, it's loose.
Okay.
Oh, well, that was underwhelming. I thought there would be a bean there. Oh, there they are. They're 1/4 inch under.
Well, where's the gap?
They're pushing. There's a lot of them pushing. Look at that. There's another one.
This is the wrong one.
There's another one. A little bit of a crust on top. I'm not a fan of that. They should be able to pop out. What's this?
I think that's a bean. It's a bean.
Look at it. He's about to break through. These soybeans, I thought they'd be out of the ground today. Looks like we'll probably be closer to the end of the day tomorrow for most of them, if not another 12 hours after that. I'm happy with that. And really, a couple 1/10 of an inch shower would be the worst thing to happen to these beans. They usually like a little rain when they're trying to crack through. Anyways, that's going to be the end of our little update video today. I'm hopeful that the forecast pans out correctly. We may be in the fields tomorrow, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I'm going to take off. As always, everyone, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!